other person should give consent comfortably and willingly. Giving in because of guilt isn't consent.
Consent is a person's right to engage or not, and solely their right.
So, what exactly is consent? To answer more about this, I took a trip to NUIG Galway, where I met Dr. Siobhan O'Higgins, who deals with consent on a daily basis.
If you were hungry and there was someone there who had a packet of crisps and you were really hungry, you know that you don't just put your hand in and get the crisps, right? You know, you'd say, listen, I'm really hungry, could I have some of your crisps, you know? And if that person was a nice person, say, yeah, I'll share with you, blah, 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 right? So we understand that. We all understand our understanding, in theory, we understand our own personal space and we allow people into our personal space if we know them, if we trust them. But then when we get drunk or when we're in a situation where we're 15 and everybody else is doing this, so we think we have to do it and blah, 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 we don't explore it, we don't talk about it, we don't discuss it, we just sort of go headlong into things. And when you're drunk, you misread the cues that someone is giving you as to whether it's okay to invade their personal space or not.
I also got a chance to meet up with Miriam Duffy, who is the director of Rape Crisis Midwest, formerly known as Limerick Rape Crisis Centre.
When you bring it down to consent to sexual activity, that's where it becomes very grey and muddied. So do people understand it? I think yes, on some level they do, but how to actually put it into practice is where it seems to be unravelling.
100% of students asked said they said yes to knowing what consent is. And 96.72% said yes to knowing how to ask for consent.
I think it's difficult for people to, I think it's difficult, especially for girlies, to say yes, because there's a double standard around what's okay and what's not okay for males and females to do. And I could give you a whole sexology explanation for that, but we haven't got time for that. So, you know, there's reasons why we're at where we are, but nobody wants to have intimacy with someone that they don't want to be with. So it's about working out how you're going to have that conversation and how you're going to know, because you know when someone likes you by the way they look at you.
You can't, how can you negotiate consent if it's going to be kind of giggle, or whatever. If you push away the discussion about the actual act.
Everybody should know at this stage, especially after Belfast rape trial, that if you're really drunk, you do not have the capacity in law, in Irish law. It's not the same in the Northern Irish law, but in Irish law since 2017, you do not have the capacity to give consent to sex. So what is the point? So if you're drunk, go and have chips.
How, if you like, society moves forward into the future and that consent becomes a normal part of relationships between consenting couples. Practice.
So it's about building that confidence, and that confidence does take time because, and people don't say the right terms. So what if you're with a French person and you say, oh, I'd love it if you tickled my lady garden. What are they going to think? They've no idea, they're going, what? We're inside. Where's the garden? Le jardin. Où sont le jardin? So it's about being clear, and that's what consent and mutual consent, mutually satisfying, mutually consensual is about. If you're not sure, ask.
I mean, the worst that could happen is they could say no.
And, but let's be honest.
Whilst at NUIG Galway, they had a consent workshop put on. I was invited here by Siobhan O'Higgins after I had done her interview.
To buy a Jaeger bombs all night.
As a lad, we hold doors open for the girls so we can have a ball.
As a girl, we must sing and drop a ship to every Ariana Grande song ever invented.
As a lad, we walk into the college bar to achieve.
I had noticed that students paid particular attention to certain aspects. And I got to interview some of the cast after the play had finished.
My name is Gavin Friedel. I'm one of the actors in the county section might have a college, and I did my undergraduate in performing arts studies with English and psychological studies. And I got on board with the project through my undergrad in psychology. There was one of the optional modules in final year was human sexuality, and 3 of the lead researchers on the active consent program, Kate Dawson, Siobhan O'Higgins and Park McNeila, they are they were 3 of the lecturers that we had for the module itself, and a lot of the course content was based on the research that they had done. And I had learned that there was a creative arts end, and I love acting as a passion, and that's my hobby. So that's my entire personality. Detective Paul Peterson of the Consent Communications Corps, madam.
Adding inappropriate conduct towards an officer to your charges. Juliette.
Who are you? And how?
I am here to inform you that you are in danger of violating the criminal law subsection Sexual Offences Act 2017 by intending to willfully engage in sexual activities including, but not limited to, penetration, masturbation, oral sex, and general stimulation of orifices.
You might look at the a sexual assault from the victim's point of view, but it was interesting to see it also from like the perpetrator's point of view and the friends of both the victim and the perpetrator as well, just because, like the actor said afterwards, sometimes the perpetrator of a sexual assault isn't always like a monster, that they might just have made a mistake, obviously.
So, I took control.
Control. I thought I was in control.
I've done something I can't take back.
Everything is shit.
Something I can never take back. Shit.
What it's really about is like you with the person that you care about, like making sure each other are comfortable and like connecting with each other. And in those kind of workshops that I've been to, it's often kind of like distilled down to a very like formulaic approach. And this was nothing like that. This was like fun and engaging, and I really liked it.
So what have we learned about consent?
Consent is an ongoing thing. Like when you're in an intimate setting with someone, that you can say no at any time or change your mind.
I think definitely discussing the alcohol aspect was really interesting because I don't drink and I can't drink. So it's not an issue that I've ran into yet, but it definitely made me reconsider about, you know, being with a partner who does drink or who does have alcohol as well.
That it's an ongoing thing that you can ask, you need consent for different situations at different times.
Consent.
OMFG stands for Ongoing Mutual Freely Given. Thanks very much.